Now, next week, MPs will debate a new law that would allow parents to access their children's social media accounts. It comes after Cheltenham teenager Jules Sweeney took his own life in 2022. He was an avid user of social media, and his mum believes that she might find answers to what happened online. Jules' mum, Ellen Room, joins us now. Ellen, good morning.
Good morning.
I mean, we are, of course, desperately sorry for your loss. It's a tragic, tragic thing to lose a child. Tell us a little bit about Jules, though. What was he like?
Jules was a very happy, normal 14-year-old boy. There was not any sign of any depression. There was no mental health issues that we knew about. He wasn't being bullied offline. And so the coroner didn't rule that he was necessarily in a suicidal mood. He couldn't be certain he was. And it wasn't until after Jules died that I thought, well, we haven't checked his social media, because I left feeling, what on earth happened? And so I tried to get his social media and was refused.
So do you know at all what happened to him? I mean,
no.
Of course
I know how he died.
How he died, yeah.
So I know how he died. I found him. But to be left with what on earth happened, there's a video on our security camera of him saying goodbye to his friend an hour and a half before I came home. He'd been out playing football. He'd had a fire pit. They'd toasted marshmallows. And I'd rung before and I said, have you eaten? He said, well, yeah, Mum, we had a pizza. I couldn't start the fire pit, so I used your nail varnish remover. And I remember saying, oh, Jules, just be careful, don't hurt yourself. And an hour and a half later, I came home to find him unconscious. So
you decided to try and find out a bit more about his social media use. What kind of problems did you come up against?
Well, at the time of his death, the inquest, the police took his devices to forensically look at them, and the forensic system was down, so the detective had to look through it manually. And I remember her saying, I'm not really sure what I'm doing, but I've got to look through it manually. And I wasn't the fighter that I am now. I was entirely broken.
You're in shock.
Oh, you're not breathing, really. Breathing is difficult. And so the detective didn't discover that he had multiple social media accounts, which I initially panicked about, but apparently it's quite common that lots of teenagers have multiple accounts, which sounds like a headache to me. But so I asked the social media companies for that data, and they refused. I don't have any right as a parent to see that data. And that really surprised me. He was 14 years old, he's a minor, and as a parent I really feel I should have the right to be able to see, to piece it together. Humanely I should know what happened to my child. So I've come up to a stumbling block.
So there's going to be a debate on this on Monday.
Yes, so I raised a petition to say parents should have the right to see their children's social media. And I initially said whether alive or deceased, because I said, well, all parents want to protect their children. It hadn't crossed my mind that the parents might be the perpetrators. And I now understand that there's a bigger issue for alive children. And I think we have to rely on the fact that the Online Safety Bill is hopefully going to make changes and protect those children. In my case and other families that I know where a child has died, who are we protecting? Why can't I have that data? Some of the social media people said it's because of privacy of other people. Well, they can redact details. They can blur out that information. I just want to see what was said, what he was browsing. My gut feeling has always been that it's some sort of online challenge, and I haven't been able to see that. So I started a petition. It ended early because of the government election, so I only had about 10 days. And we managed to get 126,000 signatures. Once you get past 100, it should be debated in Parliament. I was never sure whether it was going to be because of the change of government, but it is now being debated on Monday.
So what is Jules' law? What will that do if it gets through?
It would give the parents the right to see the social media of their children. Now, there is the data bill that came out under the King's speech after my petition ended, which is great, and it will help newly bereaved families. Only if the coroner or the police request the information. Like in my case, they never requested it. So there needs to be strengthened that if a child dies, that it is automatically preserved and requested, and not just left for somebody to hopefully think about it.
Because as you say, with children, in your case, it's utterly tragic and unthinkable circumstances. But for a child who is, living, then they they do have a right to privacy at any age, don't they?
I do understand that. I think at the time I was just so frustrated. I was thinking, when all parents want to protect them, and I can see alive children are different. But the data bill won't help us retrospectively. So there's myself and some other members of the Bereaved Families for Online Safety Group who would all like our children's access. The data bill won't do that unless we go for a new inquest. And so to go for a new inquest, you have to go to the High Court. And my solicitors quoted that would be £86,000, which is far out of the reach of any normal family to be able to pay £86,000 to be able to get their children's data. And also, it would be a fresh inquest. All those children that were interviewed during Jules's initial inquest would have to be interviewed again, and they're still struggling. They don't understand why their friend isn't here. And I still see his friends. I saw one of his closest friends on Thursday, and I think that's really highly unfair to have to put those children through it again, let alone us as parents. It's emotionally draining and incredibly hard, and I think that's wrong.
How likely are you, do you think, to find out really what did happen to Jules in those last hours?
I think I'm coming to the conclusion that I probably never will. But if I can make a difference, I'm not going to get emotional, but if I can make a difference for other families, I don't have any other children, but I've always said if I can make something positive out of the loss of Jules, then and help other families, whether already deceased, bereaved parents or going forward, then that's what I want to do.
And the other families that you talk about, how helpful has that been to
Massive.
Have each other?
Yeah, we met on a BBC One breakfast special, and having lost our children in a similar way, similar ages, very similar circumstances, the support is unbelievable, and really grateful.
Big day on Monday, Ellen.
Indeed.
Hope it goes as you would want it to go, and thank you so much for coming and talking to us about Jules.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. That was Ellen Room, who is hoping to introduce Jules Law in honour of her son, Jules Sweeney. It's